Whether you're just starting to code or already have a bit of experience, one question keeps coming up. What programming languages should you learn in 2026? You've probably seen headlines saying AI is taking over, junior developers are being replaced, and companies only want seniors now. Let's break down what's actually happening with real job market data, clear direction, and a list of languages that can help you land a job faster. In this video, we're diving into the top programming languages to learn in 2026, especially if you're a junior developer or someone trying to level up. We'll look at what the job market is asking for, how AI is changing the game, and what languages are opening doors. Now, one quick thing before we jump in. Learning a single programming language by itself won't magically get you a job. Most roles expect you to know more than one language, be familiar with a few frameworks and tools, show problem-solving skills, and actually build things. But all of that still starts with the same question. What programming languages should you learn first? And that's exactly what we're going to answer today. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Are junior developer jobs gone? The short answer is no, but the bar has definitely gone up. The last few years were rough. Between mass layoffs in 2022 and 2023, economic uncertainty, and companies freezing hiring, junior developers were hit the hardest. A lot of people looked at the market and thought, that's it, entry level is dead. But that's not what the data shows anymore. By the second half of 2025, we started seeing real signs of a rebound. According to a report by Lightcast, job listings for developers with 0 to 3 years of experience have gone up by 47% since October 2023. That's a big shift. In the US alone, there are currently around 24,000 open entry-level software engineering positions listed on Indeed.com. And that number doesn't even include internships or startups hiring outside the big job boards. Globally, the picture is even more interesting. Europe, for example, is facing a serious tech talent shortage. About 57% of companies report that they cannot find enough qualified developers, and the EU needs nearly 10 million more tech workers by 2030. So yes, companies are hiring, but here's a catch. They're not hiring juniors the way they used to. Most roles today expect you to be productive much faster. Companies assume developers are using AI tools, which means they're not looking for people who can just copy and paste code without understanding what they're building. They want developers who understand code, can fix problems, and can make good decisions, even with AI in the loop. That's why fundamentals matter more than ever. And by fundamentals, I don't mean just syntax. I mean actually understanding your programming language in depth beyond quick tutorials. I mean knowing core data structures, things like arrays, lists, dictionaries, stacks, queues, not in theory, but knowing when and why to use them. You should also know how to debug your code. You should know your basic design patterns, version control, databases, and the core concepts that software engineering students learn at universities. You don't need a computer science degree, but you do need that level of understanding. Now, with that in mind, let's talk about the programming languages that will matter the most in 2026. Let's start with Python. Python isn't just popular, it's everywhere. It's used for AI, machine learning, data analysis, backend development, automation, and scripting. According to the 2025 Stack Overflow Developer Survey, about 58% of developers use Python, and it grew by 7 percentage points in a single year. That's the largest increase of any major programming language. On Indeed.com, there are currently over 100,000 open Python-related jobs in the US alone, and that number is even higher globally. The great thing about Python is that it's easy to learn. You can start writing useful, real-world code very quickly without fighting the language. That means you spend less time on syntax and more time actually building things, which is exactly what employers care about. And if you're getting started, you don't have to look far. I have a full 6-hour Python tutorial right here on this channel that's been watched by over 46 million people. There's also a shorter 1-hour version if you want to give it a try. And if you want to go deeper and master Python, I have a full Python course for you on my website. I've put all the links below this video. If your goal is to break into tech, especially working as an AI or machine learning engineer, Python is one of the smartest first moves you can make. Next up is JavaScript and its powerful big brother TypeScript. These are the languages of the web. If you want to build websites, dashboards, or full products that people actually use, you must learn JavaScript. According to the 2025 Stack Overflow Developer Survey, about 66% of developers use JavaScript, making it the most widely used language in the world. But here's the thing. Most professional teams today don't just use JavaScript anymore, they use TypeScript. TypeScript builds on JavaScript by adding types, which helps catch bugs earlier, makes large code bases easier to maintain, and improves developer productivity. That's why it's become the default choice for serious production-grade web applications. In fact, TypeScript is now used by the majority of modern web teams, and it continues to grow faster than JavaScript itself. So if your goal is to build and ship complete web products, JavaScript and TypeScript are not optional skills, they're foundational. And just like with Python, I've got you covered. I have step-by-step tutorials for JavaScript and TypeScript right here on this channel, watched by millions of developers. And if you want to go deeper, I have full courses that prepare you for real-world projects. Again, all the links are down below. Next, we have Java and C#. These languages don't get as much hype as Python or JavaScript, but they power a massive part of the software industry. Java has been around for decades and is still everywhere. It's often used by large companies, financial platforms, government systems, and high-scale enterprise applications. And because these systems don't get rewritten every 2 years, companies need developers who can maintain and extend them long-term. That's why Java job demand stays consistently high. In the US alone, there are currently over 90,000 open Java positions on Indeed.com. If you're aiming for stability, backend roles, or larger organizations, Java is a very safe bet. C# plays a very similar role in the Microsoft ecosystem. It's heavily used for enterprise applications, internal tools, desktop software, and cloud services on Azure. It also dominates game development through Unity, which is still one of the most widely used game engines in the world. Now, just like Java, C# jobs are steady, well-paid, and less affected by short-term trends. Now, let me be clear. These languages do have a steeper learning curve than Python or JavaScript. You'll deal with stricter typing, more structure, and more concepts upfront. But that's also why companies value developers who know them well. If you're the kind of person who enjoys structure, backend logic, and building systems that last for years, Java or C# can be a very smart long-term investment. Again, I have tutorials and full courses if you're interested. Now let's talk about a language that almost no one brags about, but everyone ends up using: SQL. It's not flashy, it's not trendy, but every serious application runs on data, and that data lives in a database. Things like user accounts, orders, payments, logs, analytics, and so on. At some point, all of it touches SQL. That's why SQL shows up in more job postings than almost any other skill. In the US alone, it appears in over 100,000 developer job listings, often alongside Python, Java, JavaScript, or C#. And here's the key point. You don't need to be a database expert. But if you're a developer who can read data, write queries, and understand how databases work, you instantly become more useful on the job. This is especially true for junior developers. Most beginners focus only on their main language and ignore data. But the moment you understand SQL, you can go beyond dummy to-do apps. You can build more realistic projects, debug real problems, and actually understand what your application is doing behind the scenes. It's one of the highest return on investment skills you can learn as a developer, and it pays off immediately. Before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about a few bonus languages. These are languages you don't have to learn, but in the right context, they can be very powerful. Go or Golang is exploding in the cloud and infrastructure world. It's heavily used for microservices, DevOps tools, and backend systems where performance and simplicity matter. If you're interested in cloud platforms, distributed systems, or backend infrastructure, Go is a strong practical choice. Rust is one of the most loved languages year after year. It's designed for performance, safety, and reliability, which makes it popular in areas like systems programming, security, and high-performance software. It's harder to learn, but very rewarding if that's your niche. For mobile developers, the choices are clear. Swift is the go-to language for iOS development, and Kotlin is the modern standard for Android. If your goal is to build mobile apps professionally, these are languages that actually get you hired. The key thing to understand here is that these languages are goal-driven choices. If you already know what you want to build, like cloud systems, low-level software, or mobile apps, they make a lot of sense. If not, it's better to focus on one of the core languages we talked about earlier. So here's the bottom line. There is no single best programming language, but there is a best language for you based on the kind of work you want to do and the jobs you're aiming for. If you're just starting out or trying to break into tech in 2026, the safest path looks like this. Start with Python or JavaScript with TypeScript. They're versatile, in demand, and they open the most doors early on. Once you have got one of those down, add SQL. That combination alone already puts you ahead of a huge number of junior developers. From there, you can specialize, whether that's backend, frontend, mobile, cloud, or enterprise development. And remember, learning a language isn't the finish line. What actually gets you hired is being able to build things, solve problems, and show that you understand how software works, not just how to follow tutorials. And that's exactly why I created my roadmaps. I've put together roadmaps for various in-demand engineering roles, backend developer, frontend developer, full stack, and so on. These roadmaps show you exactly what skills to learn and in what order. Each roadmap comes with a downloadable PDF, so you're not guessing or jumping between random topics. You can find all of these in the roadmaps playlist right here on this channel. If you follow a clear roadmap, learning stops feeling overwhelming and starts to feel achievable. Now, I'm curious, which language do you want to learn after this video? Let me know in the comments below. I actually read the comments and it helps me decide what tutorials and roadmaps to make next. And finally, if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more helpful videos.